Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Pop Writers Go, the show where we talk about things.
Well, didn't go for. Maybe I should have had a bag to pop.
Yeah, so it has been a very odd weekend. We got double sad news for the comic industry.
Uh, yeah,
The passing of the legendary artist and just innovator and pushed.
fighter for creators' rights.
Yeah, creator, right? Neil Adams passed away. And also, I believe her name was Ivy McLeod, Scott
Yeah,
McLeod's wife, companion. I've heard her described as both, so I'm not sure if they were married or not. But basically, Scott McLeod's significant other, I believe, wife, who died in a car accident going to her daughter's graduation.
here
And
in Michigan.
yeah, yeah,
I was kind of surprised I didn't hear anything on the news, but then you know they probably would have just said lady.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, CNN did at least cover Neil Adams' passing.
yeah,
That was at least, and I did not know Ivy. Did you?
I did not have that pleasure.
No,
Yeah,
but everything I hear is just super positive about her.
yeah.
And Scott has been such a great force in the industry
Hmm.
that our hearts go out for him and for those that loved her. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's
It's
just a horrible, horrible thing. Neil, Neil was 80. Was
I
he
believe
80?
just yeah.
Yeah. Um, Ironically, passing not too long after Denny O'Neil, who in a lot of ways is kind of connected to.
Yeah.
Also, Neil's been talked about a lot lately because of Moon Knight and Bill Sienkiewicz, who, when Bill started in the industry, his work looked a lot like Neil Adams, influenced by Neil Adams, and Neil's the one that got Bill in at Marvel.
Yeah.
Basically, Marvel was trying to hire him. Neil called up and said, "Well, if you want me, you should check out this guy." And they hired him, and he started doing Moon Knight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
It's
Neil,
we're at that time, unfortunately, where it's we're going through like another round of losing the kind of icons of the
yeah,
industry, from what we call, I guess, the Bronze Age now.
yeah. That I just saw somebody posting the other day about which artists from Adams' era are still around. But I think about some of the ones we lost. Bernie Wrightson
Hmm.
is the one that comes to mind for immediately because I got to know Bernie, who was just a sweetheart,
Yeah.
and such an amazingly talented person. Um,
I once scared Bernie in a Staples in Studio City
yeah,
because he was in line ahead of me, and I'm like, Bernie? And he looked, and he's like got this terrified look on his face, like, oh no, crazed fan. I'm like, yeah, we met each other at Mid Ohio. We were on that panel together. And he was like, oh, hi.
yeah. Oh, I thought it was a tax collector.
Yeah.
No, Bernie was an absolute sweetheart. Bernie
Yeah.
used to go, and we're not to talk about Bernie, but Bernie used to go and play Scrabble every Thursday night with Steve Niles when they were all living here in Southern California.
Oh, really?
Yep. And that just blows my mind. And I got to go over to Niles' house for a barbecue for his birthday.
Hmm.
And they had just, speaking of Sienkiewicz was going to move out there and into the back of the house, but he didn't make it for the party. But Bernie was there and Liz was there. And we ended up out in the back patio. And I spent the entire evening talking to Bernie and Liz,
Hmm.
which just from a fan point of view was, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we talked about everything, not
Yeah.
just comics, just life. And when I went to go get up, I said, all right, I got to get going. I got to go down to Orange County. And Liz went, come here. I'm a hugger. She gave me a hug. And I turned around and Bernie was like, arms
Oh,
out. And I got a hug from Bernie. And it was just one of the coolest things. So, but I got to meet Neil once. Did you get a chance to meet Neil?
I'm sure I don't have a Neil story like most people do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we met to say hi kind of thing, but I didn't really like I never had a chance to really chat with them or anything like that.
I got to meet him once. Um, I had just gone over the IDW booth for something. I was going to talk to Dan Taylor or something, who was my editor there at the time. And Clifford Meth had just started working for them.
Mm.
And I got introduced to Cliff, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go over and talk to Neil. Come with me. I'm like, okay, I don't know who Neil is, but
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm up for meeting new people. And we walk over, and there is Neil Adams sitting there, blue shirt, of course, because that's what he wore to cons all the time.
Yeah.
And I get introduced, and he just talks a little bit stuff. And as we're talking, he goes, hey, you want to see some new work? I'm like, yeah. And he started pulling out Batman pages for what turned out to be Batman Odyssey.
Ah.
So, but they were still kind of early on. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God. So, yeah, he was super nice, very friendly. I kind of walked past him a few other times during that San Diego Con. Each time he was like, hey, Dan. So,
Yeah. Nice.
yeah, nice guy. There are some great stories about, I mean, he stood up and fought for Siegel and Schuster. He stood up and fought for Jack Kirby. Just the whole thing with creator rights and getting their art back and proper compensation, um, getting other
I,
people work.
I saw something very interesting that Mark Evanier pointed out is that one of the reasons why Neil was able to do what he did was because immediately when he started working, he wanted to work in comics and he took all sorts of jobs. But meanwhile, he was also taking advertising gigs and design work and doing all this other stuff. So, what Mark Evanier pointed out was he was like one of the few guys who could say no
Yeah.
to a project because he had other work that he could do, and because of that, he was not dependent, which probably made the publishers crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you read the histories of Marvel comics and stuff. Oftentimes, Stan was giving a buddy work that couldn't find any. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Bill Everett
Yeah,
and Wally Wood and these guys, or he gave Steve Ditko a chance when Steve was coming back after his tuberculosis. So a lot of that was Stan doing stuff to help out to people he knew.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that never gets talked about, but
yeah.
um,
But yeah, Neil especially the work that he did, getting Siegel and Schuster some compensation because it was when the movie came out and it was so huge.
yeah,
The Superman movie came out and it just, he was in a position where he could make a big stink and say, how is this right?
yeah.
Um, and that's actually something that many comics creators should keep in mind. Don't put all your eggs in the comics basket.
It's
That's
kind of hard for me to believe, but there are people now who are old enough to drink who don't know a world where superhero movies aren't common.
Yeah, yeah. It's I often think about that, and or I'll be walking in Target and look down the toy shelf and go, we 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 would have we would have fallen all over ourselves for just a fraction of that
Yeah,
shelf.
yeah. I
But
mean, we had what, the Mego 6-inch or whatever they were,
yeah,
dolls,
I think 7 inch. I think
so
it,
which
which was
weren't
weird.
any good. They looked horrible. I mean, Mr. Fantastic had a rubber glove that slid a little.
Yeah.
Human Torch had a bodysuit of flames and a flame head, but a normal body underneath.
Yeah. But yeah, and you couldn't do anything. You know, if you wanted him to be Johnny Storm, you had to like sub in some other character.
Exactly. Thor suddenly had to come in with long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just we watched things like the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man, and we're thrilled by it because that's all we had. Or the Bill Bixby Incredible Hulk series, or
I watched both Reb Brown Captain Americas.
yes,
I
not
watched
only
the Peter Hooton
Doctor
Doctor
Strange.
Strange.
Yep, I've watched all those. I
Yeah,
watched Rick Harrison as Daredevil.
with
Yeah.
the veil over his eyes.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Which is funny because if you think about it, his costume in that movie was a lot what Frank Miller ended up doing for Batman or for Daredevil Year One.
yeah. And Man Without Fear, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and kind of like the Daredevil outfit that they did for the second or third season.
No,
So
the
just
first season of Netflix.
oh, that's right. He wore that, and then he wore
The costume for a
then
season, and
then
then
the
he,
costume, and then he went back to the black
yeah,
sweatsuit.
yes, and then in Defenders he did wear his suit with a scarf.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. But we went through all of the bad. I actually saw Reb Brown at Disneyland a couple
Mhm.
years after them, and I'm trying to point out to Debbie that that's Captain America. She's like, "Who? What?" I'm like, "The tall blonde guy."
Yeah. The tall, blonde, really beefy,
Yeah.
muscular guy. Yes, I once had Reb Brown comment on how much I seemed to be enjoying a sandwich I was trying to eat at my table at a convention. Like, and then you're like, well, my mouth is full, so I'm just gonna go. "Woo."
Thank you,
Um,
Captain America.
yeah.
Why was your shield the head of a motorcycle?
Yeah.
But we
But
went through all
how
of
did
the
we get from
crap.
here? Oh, we got here because we segued from
Neil
Neil
Adams.
Adams to the Superman movie to um, the
Kids,
bad TV shows.
kids today just don't appreciate what they've got.
They really don't.
Yeah. I think we should make all of them who are complaining about Tom Holland as Spider-Man watch the Nicholas Hammond series.
There are people that complain about Tom Holland as
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
there are
Wait,
people that
sorry,
complain
that's
about everything.
well, that is the case.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't think it was a big cross section though, but
It's like I'm sure there's some people out there that really liked the John Malkovich ABC murders. I
that
wouldn't know who. Maybe
well, I
John
bet John
Malkovich.
Malkovich loved
Yeah,
it because that's money in the bank.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Rupert Grint probably thought it was awesome.
Mrs. Grint, his mom.
Yeah. Um, but
Daniel Radcliffe probably watched it and laughed his ass off.
well, work is work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what I was scrolling on one of the streamers the other day, and I saw I think it was a World War II like horror thing, and it took me a second before I went, oh, that guy in like the second banana in the show
Yeah.
or the movie, obviously. I'm like, oh wait, that's Rupert Grint. Um, but
Which movie was it? One of
uh,
the movies I did last week, I think it was for Michael Caine, because I do Caine and Ford now.
yes.
Actually had Nicholas Hammond in it.
Hmm?
And by the way, the Peter Hooton Doctor Strange is now available on Blu-ray.
Is it because of Jessica Walter? or just because they'll take any money they can get.
Because the multiverse, it's all connected.
Yes, yes.
Peter Hooten might show up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
It's anything's possible.
Wouldn't it be neat to have him standing there with Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk and maybe Patrick Duffy standing there as Namor?
And Red Brown.
Oh, no, I was just going for the Defenders.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So,
yeah.
Patrick
And
Duffy.
they can get Doug Jones will, could cameo as some kind of silver guy.
There you go. We could have the Defenders show up. Yeah.
Yep.
We're so off topic. But then again, I'm not really sure, other than Moon Knight, if we have a topic for tonight.
I don't think we did.
And Moon Knight's just kind of so heavy that I'm kind of trying to give us a little leeway into the episode.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm continuing to although it is plotting to me a little bit. I'm continuing to watch and mostly enjoy Picard, which I understand is anathema to very like a wide swath of Trek fans.
Which season is this? It's season 2, right?
2, yeah.
But they've already planned out and talked about who's coming in season 3.
I believe so. Or actually, no. I think that. Is that season 3 or are the spoilers? Or is the next gen?
I think it's season 3 is the next gen stuff.
Okay, because for some reason I was looking at it going, I'm surprised they're letting that out. But yeah. So they're. It's I don't love it, except maybe Allison Pill, who I'm always a big fan of, and she's she wore this red cocktail gown kind of thing, and it was like, holy smokes, did I need to put the air conditioner in? I think everybody, they've got a hell of a cast. I'm getting a little tired of, yes, Jean-Luc had a traumatic childhood. Got it.
I am not an Allison Pill fan. If I'm remembering who that is, she was in
Newsroom.
Yeah, Newsroom. And she was the character that annoyed me in Newsroom. I loved everybody else. And if she would have left the show, I would have been like, all right.
I have quite enjoyed most of the stuff I've seen her in.
That's cool. It's just some actors and actresses kind of hit me the wrong way. It's like
it happens to us all.
Yeah, I can't stand Will Ferrell at all.
Really?
Yep.
I find him funny, but I know what you mean. It's just sort of like, for me, the longer I feel like his shtick is not really, it doesn't change or evolve. It's different, very Will Ferrell-ish stuff.
Yeah.
So that I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I got it. That's, I get you.
It's like there was a big move, or he was trying to get the job to play Jerry Buss in Winning Time. And Adam McKay went with John C. Reilly instead. John C. Reilly is perfect as Jerry Buss. From all the clips and stuff I've seen of Jerry Buss in the past to how he's playing it, it is absolutely perfect. I could not imagine Will Ferrell playing that role. Couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Just I've never seen him do anything other than be Will Ferrell.
Right.
Where John C. Reilly, he can turn on that annoying level of comedy, but he can also do stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy. Not
that didn't have its moments of annoying comedy.
Right. But, you know,
But yes, um, he's got a he seems, from what I have seen, he has more range.
yeah.
I
I
can't say for a fact that Will Ferrell doesn't have more range than I think he does,
mhm.
but
I I cannot see Winning Time working without John C. Riley. And he
yeah.
wasn't originally cast. Michael Shannon was, and that just seems like it would have been a train wreck.
Well, what it really comes down to is everybody that's born on May 24th, as John C. Riley was, they're just exceptionally talented, smart, good-looking, beloved people.
Just going to go on out here and double check birthdays. Paul Story. Yeah, May 24th. Hey.
It's just a coincidence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Of course. Uh, oh, man.
Bob Dylan.
I was born the exact same day, not just date, the actual day, month, year as Andre Agassi and Uma Thurman.
That's
It's a
nice.
odd pairing, but yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
the three of
mean,
us should get together for dinner sometime.
there you go.
Andre,
Night
Uma.
dinner with Andre Agassi.
Yes.
I can't believe you didn't go there first.
No, I was going for the Oprah, Uma, Oprah,
Yeah.
David Letterman joke.
Yep.
So,
So,
again, shows how old we are.
oh yes, what is it? I just saw Super Ex-Girlfriend, speaking of Uma, just landed on one of the streamers.
I have not seen that. I hear it's pretty good.
I watched it. I liked it okay. It did not, you know, um I think it's probably would get more I think more people would probably enjoy it now that we have stuff like Invincible and The Boys,
Yeah.
where superheroes aren't necessarily very heroic.
Did you
Um,
watch Invincible?
I did.
Is it worth going back? I watched the first episode, and like I said, I always thought it just kind of hit me at the wrong time because I've read the comics, so I knew what the twist was. And it
Mhm.
still just made me go, no, I don't care enough about these people to go forward.
Boy, I really want to say, because there are lots of good people in the cast and things. I want to say, and you know, I don't want to anger the image overlords. Uh, but yeah, I think if I could go back, I wouldn't watch it. But you know, that's because it's just not to my taste.
Yeah.
I'm constantly it constantly surprises me how many people are like, but such and such was good. I'm like, I didn't say it was bad. I said I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, you may not like a certain kind of food. That doesn't mean you think it's bad. Like, people have tastes,
Yeah. Well,
or some don't.
you get that
Um,
a lot with people
yeah,
where if they didn't like it, then of course it's horrible beyond belief.
there
But
is that too.
I get that a lot when we do the Tuesday night show and review books.
Hmm.
There have been some books that I've looked at, and it's like I like the story, and the artist is talented, but I don't think the art matches the story,
Mm,
or it's an art style that I don't particularly like to
yeah,
read. At least, it's a superhero type book, but you went for this very underground comic style or indie comic style, and it just kind of turned me off to the story.
yeah, yeah,
But I don't. I'm not insulting the artist because I can, I can see the artist is talented. I can see that he's doing good work. It just doesn't work for the story being told.
yeah.
It's like casting the idea of casting Jack Black as Green Lantern, which was out there for a while. I can't see that working. That just sounds
Not as
silly.
any of the Green Lanterns that have ever appeared in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you want to cast him as Doyle v. Doikles,
Or Nort, just do it a voiceover.
Nort, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, and that's not even, I mean, that's not even saying anything about Jack Black's range.
Right.
But he he's done some serious stuff.
Yeah.
But Green Lantern, that's just weird.
Yeah. I like the Jumanji movies way more than I ever thought I would.
Yes.
And that was Jack Black and Karen Gillian and Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. It was the four of them that made that work.
Yeah.
All of them equally, So, yeah, but there's some people you can't picture. Just like, if they were casting Sherlock Holmes and they called Dwayne Johnson, I'd be like, no, I don't care what you're doing. That's not going to work.
Well, although I still to this day, and I just recently watched the Downey Holmes movie again, and it still drives me nuts that they had Mark Strong, who looks like a human drawing of Sherlock Holmes, as the bad guy. It's just like every time the camera cuts to him, I'm like, but that guy is Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. But I like the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes for what
They're
are.
Fun.
Yeah.
They're very fun.
If you ask me who's the best Sherlock Holmes, Robert's not in the top. Benedict Cumberbatch is definitely above Robert, and Jeremy Brett is hanging out at the top.
Yeah. It just no question. If you're going for Holmes, the way he is, but the way he is in the books, then I mean, I remember there was no internet at the time, and yet everybody was like, this Jeremy Brett guy is incredible as Holmes.
Oh yeah. I have watched all of them. I have them all on DVD. There are a few shows that I'll actually go out and get like all of.
Yeah.
I did that for a lot of the CW shows, the Arrowverse shows. Though I did stop after Arrow ended, and just never really did the rest of them. And now that they're all getting canceled, but Flash and I haven't watched any of Lois or the Superman and Clark Lois show yet.
I like it's another one where love the cast.
Yeah.
I think, and I like it okay. I like and yeah, the fact that Legends of Tomorrow got canceled, and I know a lot of people have gripes about Legends of Tomorrow, but as soon as they hit the point where they went, you know what, we've clearly stated the laws of time, and we don't care, is when I really fell in love with it. Yeah. Where it's just, they're there having fun.
Yep. Season 1 was okay. Season 2 was better. Season 3 is when the show really started.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. As soon as they got rid of the captain.
Well, which I felt bad about, because I don't think that what's Darvill's first name?
Arthur Darvill.
Arthur Darvill.
Darvill.
Yeah. I don't think he was doing anything bad.
No, he's a great time traveler. He just needed to be on a different time traveling device.
Yeah. I think really if they had not, well, of course they were trying to play it really serious with season 1.
Yeah.
And then, when they finally lost me was when Hawkwoman refused to kill Vandal Savage, which was her stated purpose, because then the reincarnation of Hawkman that was currently Vandal's toady would stay himself. And it's like, yeah, that was never a thing. The thing was that you wanted to end the cycle of reincarnation so you could be together in the afterlife. So why do you care? And it was just, there was never really any explanation that made any sense.
Legends of Tomorrow did the same started working the same way that Gotham started working for me. Because Gotham started off being a police procedural. And when they went, well, we're going to get canceled, so we might as well just do everything. And they started going crazy and bringing in more and more absurd shit. And the more they did, the more fans liked it.
Now,
Yeah.
I have seen all of Gotham. I wish I had done what I initially did, which was stop after the first season. I didn't love the first season, but I watched all the way through, and every time they introduced a new element where, oh wait, this supervillain is here before Batman is Batman.
Mm-hmm. What got me through Gotham was simply going, it's an Elseworld.
Yep.
And as soon as I thought of it as an Elseworld, what if Batman came later? Then and then by the time we got to the end, I actually didn't want Batman to show up because I'm like, he's still a little kid. Don't put him in a costume.
I didn't quite get that. Well, of course, when he was actually Batman, we never really saw him. We saw somebody in the costume and him doing the voice. But but for me, the initial sequence that they showed with Catwoman or Catgirl Selena jumping around on rooftops, I was like, this is why I don't want to watch this show, because she's hopping around on rooftops and he's going to be going like, oh no. Plus the whole thing of it was not a show for me.
But you watched all of it.
I eventually, I believe, during the first year of the pandemic,
Robin Lord Taylor's Penguin, Corey Michael Smith's Riddler were the reason I stuck around, because to me they were compelling. And again, they weren't the Joker, or they weren't the Riddler and Penguin we knew, but I got a chance to talk to the guys personally. Mm-hmm. I interviewed them, and just, they're such genuine people, just nice guys. And I got to talk to them, and also Sean Pertwee. And it was just all such nice people, that I really kind of got in for Alfred's character was awesome in the show.
Yeah. Although I would have had the worst, if I was talking to him, I would have had the worst time not just going, so what's it like growing up as Doctor Who's son? And then I would have segued, when he got really uncomfortable, I would have segued into the Cadfile mystery show that he was on for several episodes. I guess there were only like 4 episodes per season for that one, but yeah. And I was very disappointed when he left.
I like Sean Pertwee a lot. He was a nice guy, and I got to wish him a happy birthday because it was his birthday, and he was surprised.
May 24th?
What?
Was it May 24th? I just assumed, because he's good looking, smart, talented guy.
Yeah. I think he should be the new James Bond, but I just throw that out there into the ether.
I would not object, although he's I don't know how he might be older than what they normally pick now. I just assume that Andrew Garfield will be, now that he got it.
Tom Holland.
No, he's busy being
Uncharted.
Yeah, Nathan Drake.
Yeah, Nathan Drake.
But that was how I was thinking of it too, because I was struggling for the name, and I was like going to go, Uncharted.
I know, Harry Styles.
Ooh, there you go.
Yes, I'm Bond, James Bond.
Actually,
let me sing for you.
We'll have Jimmy Fallon playing Harry Styles, like he did back in.
Well, James Corden just is ending his show. Maybe he's going to be the new James Bond.
I tried to give him a chance, but it's like if you loved the Late Late Show with Craig
Yeah.
Ferguson,
Yeah.
and then it's like, ah!
When the announcement was that Corden was leaving, he's given it a full year, but
Mhm.
when it was announced, Craig Ferguson tweeted out to him, and all I could think of is, "Come back,
Please
please.
come back, Craig.
Come back. It's been a long, long day, and I got the Sandman at the door. I'm hanging on, and the TV's still on. Do it anyway. Okay."
There you go. Not like any other Late Late Show. Late
No.
Show.
The fact that it won a Peabody for going to hell with opening monologue, to hell with guests. We've got Desmond Tutu. We're just going to sit down and talk to Desmond Tutu.
And then later, his Tom Snyder episode with Stephen Fry was just so brilliant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or his monologue where he came out and just basically lambasted everybody for going after Britney Spears when she was obviously having problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the episode where right after his father passed, and he basically did it as a eulogy.
Mm-hmm.
Just so many good shows.
Yeah. Plus the craziness of the lip sync songs.
Yeah.
He had puppets. For Christ's sake.
I started buying those kind of Folk Menace puppets. I have a bunch of them now. My first YouTube show was with those puppets, and they're horrible. They're still out there on my channel, way down. But I did like 8 of them, and it's like a laugh-in with puppets. It's bad. I should delete those. But yeah.
You can't believe you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because now there will be people scrolling.
His final episode, that song, Keep Banging On.
Yeah.
Just hit so hard for me. Is just like speaking to me, and that has become one of my favorite songs.
Immediately bought it. The fact that it's now, I know he had, them part of the group was there, or all of the group.
They were supposed to fly out, but they couldn't get their passports corrected. Something was wrong with the passports, so they had to bring in a different band to do that part.
And Steve Jones, and just wow.
Yeah, montage of famous people.
Yeah, who obviously
Desmond Tutu,
Samuel L. Jackson with his action thing.
Yes.
But yeah,
Kevin Bacon and his wife, Kira Sedgwick.
Yep, just out on the farm, ranch, whatever they have.
Remington Steele, Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah,
just such a good closing thing, and oh man, and then every character he had that he didn't play, but then you go to the stuff he played, talking with Aquaman, or the things with Ask Aquaman, the Michael Caine in space.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Ask Dear Aquaman, who would win a fight between you and Aqualad? Well, let's see. Aqualad comes out in a fairly comics accurate costume, but cheap, puts up his dukes, and Aquaman shoots him. Well, there's the answer to your question. And it cuts back to Ferguson, and he's collapsed over his desk because he's like, it made the sound when they're under what? And he's just completely lost it. That was and the number of, he would flirt with
every girl,
every actress, but if he noticed they were, feeling uncomfortable, he just knocked it off. But it was just so fascinating to watch the people, because some people got it. They just they got on the set. He started doing all the weirdness started happening. They saw Jeff Peterson and they got it.
Yeah.
And then I love watching the episodes where he's just they're the people who are like, how much longer do I have to talk to him?
Yeah.
Could I get to a real late night show?
But then the ones who got it, you
Oh
know,
God, yeah,
Hugh Laurie was great on
yeah.
that a few times he was on there.
Oh,
And
and there was that one obscure actor. I can't remember. He did a show not long after that. Um, Peter Capaldi.
oh, you mean the guy that he was in a punk band with?
Yeah, the Dream Boys.
Yes. And we should probably mention that Jeff Peterson, of course, was created by the late Grant Imahara.
That is true. That is
Yeah.
true. And just, an amazing thing. And then he would just come back and like tune up the robot
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So yes, that's yeah. One of the things I'm very
Craig, we want you
fondly
back.
remember. Huh?
Craig, please come back, Craig. Please.
Please come back, Greg.
We lost you. We lost Jon Stewart around the same time. The world has not been the same.
Although Jon Stewart's getting a little.
I know, but when he was on the Daily Show,
Oh yeah, no,
when he
and
was on the Daily Show, more people in their 20s and 30s got their news from the Daily Show than anywhere else.
yeah, which is not necessarily great, but it also the one good thing I think was an absolute good was that then they could go because we were firmly in the internet age. They could hear about something and then they could go look stuff up.
Yeah,
and get extra news if they wanted.
exactly.
So,
all right, we are all over the frickin' place tonight.
yep, and we've only got about half the show left to talk about Moon Knight.
Yes.
Later daters.
So, you have been less in love with the series than I have.
That is an understatement, but true.
Did the latest episode change that at all?
Let's see how to say this correctly. It did not change it, but I like the episode far more. I'm still like if this had been this was the 5th episode. If this had been the 3rd episode, and they had crunched things more in the first, if they'd taken the first 4 and boiled them down to 2, I think this would have made a magnificent 3rd episode, and I would have been perfectly happy with it. I've got a very too little too late feeling, but that said, I thought this was a good episode, although not really sure that I was up for a big heaping helping of child trauma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I watch them when they air at midnight out here in LA, and just
I'm not staying up till 3 a.m.
Yeah, and I just laid in bed going, "Oh my God." And I had to text Lisa because she watches them later. I'm like, extremely emotional episode.
Yeah.
Be warned. Because there's so much cuteness in the episode with Tauret. That hippopotamus is just cute beyond compare. The voice.
So I'm interested in this new rhinoceros character.
Hippopotamus.
I love that Mark had to be the one to correct him.
I'm not sure that was Mark. Because when that happened, that's where he suddenly has like a broken nose and a bandage on it. And his accent is a bit New York. And that's happened a few times in the series where all of a sudden his accent is a little bit New York instead of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And having grown up listening to a Chicago accent my entire life, I kind of know a Chicago accent. So when it drifts out of it. It's
Yeah.
like ding, ding, ding.
Although
You
he's not doing a really thick Chicago accent.
No, he's not. He's doing a
I
Midwest accent, but
there used to be I lived in Chicago for a while. There was a radio station that I listened to all the time, and in the mornings they had a little feature called "Going to the Show" with a regular guy, and the guy who was doing it had the full on Bears Beers, SNL kind of Chicago accent,
yeah,
and he did pretty good reviews despite that. It was like, but it was just like, and now it's going to the show. And he would do these like breakdowns of like, yeah, I don't know. This was that and that was this and it could have been better, but I liked it okay.
yeah,
Anyway, I got to stop. So it wasn't what I'm saying is it wasn't the
yeah.
what did they call those the Bears fans, I guess they call on
See, I'm used to the terminology being Yaderhaze, but that's more Wisconsin,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's because they go, "Yeah, we're going over there and doing this, eh?"
Yeah.
Yaderhaze. But I got that from a person from Wisconsin who didn't speak like that.
Yeah.
So that's what they call them in Wisconsin. I don't know what they call them in
Yeah.
Chicago.
And yeah, we in Michigan have famously have the Yoopers, who have a probably because they're actually connected to Wisconsin.
Probably.
I don't know how we got stuck with them. Um, that's all right. They call they
Wisconsin viewers.
call those of us under the bridge. They call us trolls. So um,
Yeah.
trolls and Yoopers.
I was listening to a crocheting channel. Yes, I'm old. Um, Lisa has a particular lady that she watches and does like bag unveilings of types of yarn and teaches new stitches and stuff. And her name is Bag O' Day Crochet. So if you're interested, this is where I'm learning to crochet from. But I'm listening to her talk and I'm like, she's definitely from the Midwest, probably outskirts of Chicago. And Lisa's like, how do you know? I said, listen to when she tells you how to wash the yarn. She's like, what? Oh, the R. Yep.
Yeah.
I grew up, we say wash. It's
Yeah.
a washing machine.
That's also you get a lot of that out in Pennsylvania as well.
Yeah.
With the
But, I got that, of course, from my dad from Chicago. So,
yeah. Now, how do you say wooder?
excuse me?
Okay, I didn't know because since the wash happens in Pennsylvania, it's wooder.
As a,
Water.
oh, water. No,
Wooder.
you say water.
Yeah. Um. So I
I'm
just
told.
wondered how much, but there's definitely something going on in the Great Lakes region.
Yeah, I'm told. I also say Dala. I am with an H instead of an R.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
so that more back east.
I don't know where I got that from. I don't do it consciously, but Lisa points that out to me. She thinks it's cute, so it's like, oh, you say Dala. I'm like, okay.
Yes. Now, if you grew up in North Ontario like I did, or as we call it, Detroit, you might say dollar.
Yeah, Kyle was trying to convince me that all the best radio announcers all come from the Midwest, mainly because they can get rid of that accent easier than anything else.
Yeah, it is very close to neutral. It's
Yeah,
not. I had a friend who was a voice actress who, hi Joanna, who actually convinced me because I thought we have no accent. We're baseline, and then she caught me on a couple of things, and I was like, so. But I hadn't actually noticed Mark doing much of an accent, Chicago-wise.
My interpretation is that nobody has an accent. Other people have accents.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's kind of like, was it Ben Franklin said, rebellions are only illegal in the third person. Yeah,
I thought you were going to say more alcohol and whores.
Oh, the horn and the
Famous Franklin quote.
yes. You've seen 1776, right?
I have not.
Oh my God, it's my favorite musical.
And see, I'm not a big fan of musicals, so.
Oh, but this one is
yeah.
so.
Oh no, trust me, you're following hard on the heels of Tom Zoller, who has tried to convince me that I must see 1776. I had it on my DVR until I switched services. So
I watch it every 4th of July.
Many do. Many
I don't
do.
like fireworks, so I stay in and watch it.
Yeah.
And now I watch that in Hamilton. So
Now, what's Hamilton?
it's this little play that came out recently.
Oh, okay.
A musical. You might like it. You probably heard. I think it's on Disney if you look deep in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do love. Have you watched Ghosts at all? The American version?
No.
There's a Revolutionary War officer who hates Hamilton, the person. Not that because he was always trying to get so much attention, and they're like, and then they keep bringing up Hamilton the musical, and he's just does not make him happy. Anyway, but we've strayed from Moon Knight.
I think we're straying from Moon Knight because it is such an emotionally difficult episode.
Yeah.
At least that's the story I'm going with. I found it interesting that there are some things in it that make me question, because they're being really pedantic in a good way when it comes to stuff like DID and Egyptian mythology. They brought in experts for all of those things.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff I know about the Egyptian not burial rituals, but afterlife rituals.
Yeah.
There's some things that don't make sense. And they might be story things, like the fact that Tauret is the one who's guiding them. That's not her normal job, or at least not her job to judge. That's Anubis.
And I wonder if Anubis is one of the people
Tiny
that have been statuized.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. But another thing has to do with how they're being transported through the Duat. Because how you're transported is a very big deal in Egyptian afterlife culture. Boats were reserved for pharaohs, and the followers of the pharaohs would actually build the boats and put it next to the pyramids with him, so that they could use it to traverse to be judged and to the field of reeds. So the fact that he's on a boat surprised me. Do avatars of gods kind of fit equal with pharaohs? Is that what basically an avatar of a god is? Because pharaohs claim to be gods.
Right.
They're ascending to godhood. So that's kind of an interesting take on that. Because normally you would just be put in a coffin, and your coffin would transport you. That was your mode of travel. And the people that loved you would decorate the coffin in such a way to present you in the best way possible for judgment, to show what a good person you are. And if somebody died that they didn't want to be judged properly, you would chop off their head, because then they would never get to be judged. So anytime somebody who went against the pharaoh, they would often be decapitated even after death.
Did you find it interesting that that after Steven sacrificed himself, there were still two hearts on the scale.
Yes.
I thought that was, I would have thought that, yeah, it just seemed interesting, and I was wondering if that was more of a something to do with an Jake or other um uh identities. But
It
yeah, it
could be.
just threw me off because I was like, wait, at the very least, shouldn't Steven's heart be not there, or shouldn't they have merged or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was really surprised we didn't get Jake in this episode. It
Yeah.
seemed like, well, that's you're not balanced. Well, because you don't have your third person.
Yeah.
But we never got to that, and it seemed really strange. So I'm starting to think, are we going to go this whole episode, never meet Jake, and he's going to be the end credit scene where we see Mark is back to living his life, except he gets in a cab and starts to drive, and we pan down to see the cabbie license, and it says Jake Lockley. I mean,
Yeah.
could
I
it
I,
be
I don't
something
know,
like that?
because it does seem like um it just seems like an odd bit. But yeah, uh, or are we going to suddenly have like this, Ocean's 11 thing where Jake shows up and goes nuts and knocks the crap out of a bunch of people, and then they just keep going back and showing every scene where it was actually Jake?
That would be interesting too.
Um,
You know,
I just I don't know, and there have been a couple. You've been on the ride with me. There have been a couple of uh, shows that we got to the fifth episode and went, "Oh, was there a scene?"
no,
Because I
no,
thought, yeah, because I especially fast forwarded through the credits um, to make sure there wasn't an end scene,
yeah, I
as
was
they
looking for one
often,
too.
yeah. I don't know why I asked you. I watched twice, but like, yeah, it's like I don't trust myself at this point. Um, but yeah, it was really weird that they didn't have that scene.
Yeah,
Um, um, yeah, I don't know. It feels like it's going to be really cramped to.
yeah, and the word is it's going to be the shortest episode at about 43 minutes.
I don't understand that. What?
Well, if you think about it, we really don't have that much left. If Mark gets resurrected, they need to save Khonshu and Mark get resurrected, or resurrect Mark and have him save Khonshu. Those two things have to happen, and then he
Right.
has to confront Harrow. So you could do that, but then you do have the Jake thing, which they may not actually clean up. They may just hint at it, like I said, in a closing credit thing, and then make us go back, go, wait a minute.
Yeah, but the thing is that they didn't they didn't have a second season greenlit before.
No.
So
And
then I will be angry if they leave stuff hanging. I will be angry because I hate when it's the modern age of television. Things might get renewed, things might not. Having a cliffhanger does not help you get, and this is coming from me. This is coming from John Rogers, who did Leverage.
yeah,
Is that cliffhangers don't help you get renewed anymore. So don't screw with people. Don't screw with your audience.
both Batwoman and Legends of
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
have cliffhanger endings and no resolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
The only show I ever saw that found out they were not going to get a second season and were able to clean things up was the one season run of the show Forever with Ian Goffard, which I thought actually gave a really great ending. Even though they didn't answer everything, they gave you one bit that was okay,
Yeah.
That's enough, you know.
Yeah. But there was actually the show that I watched, Whiskey Cavalier. I'm not sure anybody else did. Uh, but they literally could have chopped off one scene and it would have been just a good, okay, we're done. It wouldn't have been like, a full wrap, kind of like no way it can go forward, but it would have
Yeah.
made a a good, just like, okay, we're ending on a positive note,
Yeah.
as opposed to that 5 minutes where like something went wrong and now everything's up in the air again, and I'm it's like, now that you could have cut.
Hmm.
you know
Uh, one of the most celebrated movies of all time, The Piano. If they would have cut it when they got on the boat to leave, I think it would have been a fine ending. Then they went through like Acme Warehouse type shit. Suddenly it's a
Wait,
Looney Tune sketch.
which is this?
The Piano.
Oh, The Piano. I did not hear you clearly, and I was like, I don't know this movie, but I wouldn't because I never watched it.
The Piano has a scene where everything makes sense. Helen Hunt doesn't speak through the whole movie.
Mm.
And at one point, and she plays the piano. That's her thing. And they cut her finger off in because she had been cheating with the neighbor. This is Harvey Keitel. The movie ends. Spoilers.
Yep.
Ends with her and Sam O'Neill and their daughter, played by Anna Paquin, leaving the island, leaving Harvey Keitel, and that would have been a good place to end it. But the next thing that happens is, as they're going out and they're in canoes leaving the thing, they have her piano, which is a full grand piano, on boards on a canoe. Okay. Well, at one point, the canoe tips and the piano goes overboard. And you're like, okay, getting rid of the dead weight. And then they show her foot really close to the rope that they use to, and sure enough, she gets pulled under because her rope foot gets there. And I'm thinking, okay, you're going for the
Yeah, it's rope
symbolic
on a
end.
boat means somebody gets pulled overboard.
Yeah, yeah. So you're going for the symbolic ending of the piano pulls her down to her death.
Right.
Fine. Okay, I'm ready for that ending. It's not where I would have gone. Next thing you know, all of the natives dive into the water, and you have naked native asses swimming down and saving this girl, bringing her back up, putting her in the canoe. And I'm like, okay, why did we have that scene then? Then we get back to a year later. They're living in civilization. She's playing the piano with a metal replacement digit, and she's talking. And they never tell you why she hadn't been talking. And that thing won awards.
Meanwhile, you're watching, you watch my face throughout that. It was just like one what to huh? Yeah.
And by the way,
I'm so
trust me
sad
on
I
this
didn't
one.
watch it. Huh?
Trust me on this one. You don't need to see the movie.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I've
I
never
tried to
had
tell you with Malkovich. So trust me on this one. I mean, you get full on frontal Keitel.
Ooh.
And not happy, ready to go Keitel, lounging about on the afternoon Keitel.
Yeah.
So,
I think happy is the one that will get you an automatic X. But
yeah. We are so far off topic. Okay. Moon Knight.
So oh well, no, see, so Stephen was dragged overboard by the weight of Mark's past.
Yeah. He was. That's
So it
true.
ties right into the piano. I'm just glad they didn't call that movie The Organ.
Oh, they just about did.
So
Yeah. I
yeah,
just gotta say,
I did like that. Huh?
just gotta say, let's move on. Harvey Keitel's penis has more acting credits than half of the actors in Hollywood right now.
I haven't paid that much attention.
Just saying. The Piano, Bad Officer, yeah,
Um,
a couple
yeah,
other, yeah, just yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I did like that Stephen, who, despite being as mousy and everything as he is, ended up being Mark's protector in the same way he was a shield.
Yeah.
Um,
Though that's the interesting
ish.
thing. Stephen didn't know about the beatings. Mark created a persona to take the beatings. So that's got to be Jake.
I'm wondering, yeah, because it does seem like um that's the part that doesn't make sense
Yeah.
is Mark idealizing his mom when it wasn't Mark taking the beatings,
Yeah.
and it wasn't doesn't seem to be Stephen,
Yeah.
because
Stephen
then
still
you
thinks
would.
his mom was
So
perfect.
that seems like a well, it's a shitty thing for Jake,
Mm-hmm.
but it does seem like a logical. um
It it seems like Jake is there to do the dirty work, take the
yeah,
beating, kill the guys that need to be killed. You know, Mark knows all the ones that he killed. How many has Jake killed? The two guys on the guys on the roof. They didn't point them out.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That's
yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah. I'm also kind of curious. Where was I going with this? Oh, the fact that Randall dies. Now I've seen some people online who tried to say that Khonshu killed Randall. That basically Khonshu made the rain come faster, which I don't think he can do. But because there was that little hummingbird skeleton, was the sign that Khonshu was there, and Khonshu knew Mark was damaged all the way back then, and tried to put him on the path. And I'm not going for that unless I see. But
and it doesn't really line up with the dialogue of Mark talking to Khonshu,
right,
because it seems like Khonshu kind of goes like, "Oh, wait a second."
yeah, we got a broken one. Um, but I do find it interesting that they're throwing a lot of Moon Knight characters into the show, even though they're not doing a lot with them.
Hmm.
We got the Midnight Man, Anton Mogart. We've got Crawley,
Yeah,
who's popped up, and he's even name dropped in the episode.
yeah.
Mark knew his name was Crawley, which I think is interesting.
Although he did mention in context, it was, "Oh, Crawley's going to end up calling numbers."
Right. So if
So,
that's not real, then how does he know Crawley's name?
well, it's the afterlife,
I know, but it just seems like maybe he has dealings with Crawley too, not just Stephen.
possibly,
Yeah, which is
which
probably
which would
why.
really freak out Crawley.
Well, it might be why Crawley puts up with it.
Yeah, but it's Steven coming up and going, "Hey man," and then like hugging him and that stuff, where
Yeah,
he's like, "This is the guy who pays me for information. I should probably not tick him off, I guess." 'Cause-
but also they name drop Randall,
yeah,
who is ends up becoming a big villain in the series. First as Hatchet Man, then they retcon it so he wasn't Hatchet Man, but comes back as Shadow Knight.
yeah,
And then, of course, they drop Bushman's name, who, of
yeah.
course, is important, is probably the biggest Moon Knight villain.
So,
Yeah. I mean, they've got
well,
Sun King, yet the series is focusing on the antagonist being this one and done character that is nothing like what he is in the comics, Arthur
Yeah.
Harrow. So
Yeah, that was that would be fascinating to hear how that came about. You
well,
know,
I have a feeling they didn't want to use any of the other big characters in case they want to use them later.
sure.
So they wanted to do this God storyline.
Yeah.
So they decided to borrow the name Arthur Harrow because
Yeah.
they've done that. There was another series they did that where they borrowed the name of a character. Don't remember what it was now.
Oh God. Now that you say that, it it's right there, but I can't find it.
Yeah.
Um, well, let's see. Was it somebody in WandaVision? Um, was it I don't think it was Cap Winter Soldier or
No.
Falcon Winter Soldier.
No. It'll
Um,
come to me hopefully before the end of the show.
fingers crossed.
Yep. But also, I wonder if maybe they have plans to do more. But Oscar Isaac has been in a bunch of franchises,
Yeah.
and they haven't always gone well. I mean, you look at him as Apocalypse and X-Men, and then the negative feedback on the last 3 Star Wars movies that he was in. He was in the first episode of Dune, or first film of Dune, but now he's gone.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Well, and actually, as I understand it, Poe was not supposed to survive. And originally wasn't supposed to survive Force Awakens.
Maybe he would have
So,
wished. In retrospect, he probably wished he didn't. So I could see him after all of that going, look, let's do one and see how it turns out.
although
But
I
he's
wonder if that's part of why he pushed for the executive producer credit.
Could be.
Have a little more leverage.
Could be.
Yeah.
But also you see stuff like he's doing these interviews now where he's talking about, oh, I'd love to see Moon Knight play opposite of Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner because they've got similar split personalities. Or just the other day, he was talking about how he'd like to see Moon Knight pop up in the Midnight Suns, with those characters. So I have a feeling he'll be back, but I think Marvel has got so many things going on. They probably went, okay, let's do one and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But they're doing their 10-year or their creative retreat right now. They started it earlier in the week, or they were already doing it, but Kevin Feige went to CinemaCon. So I could see him coming out of it, and then coming out and going, okay, this is our next 10 years, and you're going to get a Moon Knight movie or a sequel to Moon Knight, or he's going to pop up in this series or that movie.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get more Moon Knight, in which case it may lead to more series. I mean, Loki wasn't supposed to be two seasons.
No, that was
and then they added the thing at the end. So, yeah, the director didn't know until the last minute that they're doing it. And she's not coming back for it because she's already booked other work.
Yeah.
Even Sylvie didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that all kind of interesting because I think there's so many pieces for them now to keep juggling, and so many things coming up. Actors getting sick, actors passing, just things that they have to kind of change on the fly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as bad as Warner Brothers, for God's sakes,
but well, I think though that I think partly though a lot of the stuff that they're picking for the Disney Plus shows are kind of off to the side a little bit. That they're like, I'm sure that they'll do enough of a recap of WandaVision in Multiverse of Madness that you won't have had to watch Multiverse of Madness. I think that they'll I think they have stuff that it's like, it's interesting. We can do stuff with it. We can make it a part of the everything, but that if people haven't seen it, the movies will still work.
I would agree with you because that's how Kevin Feige has been. But this week, D23, the official Disney fan site, put out a list of things to watch before Multiverse of Madness, or things you need to watch, and they include the first Doctor Strange. No, was it first Doctor Strange?
I would think so. Because
WandaVision,
yeah.
What If, and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, although that strikes me as a way to get people to sign up for Disney Plus.
Yeah, well, Spider-Man No Way Home's not on Disney Plus.
True.
But, What If, they are bringing, I mean, it's pretty obvious they're bringing in Captain Carter.
Well, only because there's a picture of her in, there's a clip of her in the trailers.
Yeah, or at least her shield, and yeah.
Well, yeah, but even the person holding the shield seems to be wearing Captain Carter's outfit.
Yes.
So
yeah, but then again, they're not saying, "Well, go watch X-Men '97 animated series," because they're bringing Professor Xavier in, and he's got the gold hover chair.
Yeah, that's true, unless Patrick Stewart is playing someone else.
True.
In a gold hover chair.
Maybe it's someone doing a Patrick Stewart voice.
Could be. Yeah. Well, they've got Ross Marquand on retainer. Hey, Ross, you need another voice. But yeah, it'll be. I wish I was. I have unfortunately, even though I like Marvel movies 10 times better, the Batman put me off on. It's like, I've got a bunch of streamers. It's going to get there eventually. So maybe I'll just wait for the Multiverse of Madness and not worry about spoilers and stuff. Who knows? Maybe I'll go the second week or something. Because
I'll probably go the Monday after.
Yeah, I can't do opening weekend anymore. I just can't do it. Like it was bad enough before the pandemic. After the pandemic, so I'm like, people.
I can do it if I go up and see it with Lisa up in the desert, because there's not as many people. But down here, no, I got to wait till like Monday mid-morning.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm probably going to go Monday, because I think we're doing a baby shower during the weekend. So,
oh man, I hate those things. They're so heavy and awkward and floppy.
I know, and then you got to get so many babies to make the spray work.
Yep.
So,
plus, you never know when one of them's going to let loose.
True. Yeah. I'm not sure where this show is going to go, but I do think that the two possible post-credit scenes, I think they really could do Jake as the post-credit scene, which I think would answer some of the questions, but I think that it would also, it might piss some people off. But really, there's so much story. Do we have time to solve the Jake issue? But the other thing that I think would be interesting is if we do get some of the gods, see the gods, not just the Ret, see a couple of them. It would be interesting if a shadow figure kills a couple of them, as kind of a nod to Thor, Love and Thunder.
Right. Speaking of which, holy crap. Natalie Portman, for that movie, I mean, I knew she was working out, but wow.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff coming up.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, they've just flip-flopped Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and the Marvels, with Guardians of the Galaxy in between that. But I love that fact because Ant-Man and the Wasp is finally going to give us more answers about Kang. We're going to get Kang, which we're still not sure if that's going to be a big bad line wide type of thing, or is this a 3-phase thing like Thanos? Is he a 1-phase thing? And I really thought the multiverse was going to end with Multiverse of Madness, but Kevin Feige at CinemaCon makes it sound like the multiverse thing is kind of here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, they're just getting out there. It's almost like they're trying to do too much at this point.
Yeah. Well, and of course, from their perspective, they can't do too much until people stop going.
Yes, true.
But yeah, and I'm not a big one for the superhero burnout that everybody's worried about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see that if they really step things up, like maybe if they're doing 3 or 4 movies a year and all the series and stuff, I can see people kind of going, I can't keep up with it all, because we have other things to watch and life.
Yeah, but their series are only 6 episodes. And I hear a lot of people complaining about, oh, why is it just 6 episodes? Why aren't they longer? You watch them at 6. If they were, I heard nothing but complaints when the Netflix series were 12 or 13 episodes. Well, these are too long.
Everybody was like, it should have been a tight 8.
Yeah.
So
I'm good with 6 because if they tell the story they want to tell, I'm good with that.
Well, and if you start planning for 6 and they leave it, then you could go somewhere. If you plan it for 10 and you realize you don't have enough story, then that becomes an issue. So
exactly. So I'd rather them do 6 and tell the story they want to tell. And the series seemed to cover any place they want to do like an extended look at something. Yeah. It's like WandaVision basically took Wanda from where she was in the Avengers to where she needs to be for Doctor Strange. Falcon and the Winter Soldier dealt with the lingering issues of Cap being gone, and now Sam is Captain America and is ready for his new movie. Loki helped create the multiverse in a lot of ways, or give us the multiverse and stuff, introduced Kang. What If gave us a bigger dive into the multiverse. Hawkeye kind of wrapped up a lot of lingering issues out of the Avengers movies, but also introduced Kate.
And gave Yelena a chance to shine.
Yep, gave Yelena, kind of gave us Yelena as the Black Widow instead of the little sister. So all of these seem to have a function for the movies. They work in synergy with the movies. Moon Knight, this couldn't have been a movie. You couldn't have done this in 2.5 hours.
Well, I would argue you could if you cut out all the crap. But
I don't think that's crap, and I think a lot of that stuff is going to seem more and more important when everything comes to it. I think it's going to become more and more important when we start seeing it in the same way you see it at the end of Fight Club. Because I think this is Marvel's Fight Club in a lot of ways. And Fight Club, the reveal at the end is really part of what makes that movie special. So I think a lot of things that may have seemed to be superfluous is actually connective tissue.
Okay. I can think of one thing that that I consider completely superfluous that I don't think is connecting tissue. But
what's that?
Oh, the first thing I complained about was yes, we have to see him fall over and over again as he wakes up, because otherwise we won't get it. And I just felt like that was, they took a whole episode to sort of go like, and something weird's going on, and we all got it the first time. So,
Did he
but
pull
yeah, you may be right. There may be, but it's just, I, as I say, it's just this depiction is not to my taste. But
Yeah,
um, I'm not. I'm saying that I would not have done the first episode the way they did. But of course, that's true of um, any writer is not going to do something the same way as any other writer.
yeah.
But
Well, I'm
yeah,
with you on. I mean, my version of Moon Knight that I love was the Doug Mensch, Bill Sienkiewicz run.
mm,
Where he was more of the shadow, and it wasn't DID. He just had these alternate person these aliases he used to do what he did. He
yeah,
had Stephen Grant character. He had the Jake Lockley, but Mark Spector really didn't come out that much because he
yes,
was all those things.
yes, and the reason there was a Stephen Grant was so that no one was coming after Mark Spector for, oh, hey, there were a whole bunch of people got killed in the desert,
Yep.
you know. So he had the other aliases because um it just didn't, because people might have been coming after him for stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I'm with you on the fact that this isn't necessarily the Moon Knight that I grew up on, but I can kind of I'm enjoying the story they're telling,
yeah,
and it is the Moon Knight that has become, the first Warren Ellis and then Jeff Lemire and these guys coming along and doing this stuff and leaning into the different personalities and stuff. I can see from a writing standpoint where that's interesting. It makes the character unique. You know, no one watching this series is coming out going, "Oh, he's Marvel's Batman." Nobody's saying that.
no,
Going into it, a lot of people were describing him that way,
yeah,
but no one's saying that now who's watching it and being introduced to the character because he's completely unique. And maybe he wasn't in the beginning. I compare him to the Shadow. Everybody else compares him to Batman because he was. Now he's unique. So, even the costume change, that's not Moon Knight's costume we know of. But it kind of works for the story they're doing.
for some, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and as far as like the I thought they did a clever way to use Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, I am a complete sucker for the suit and full face mask kind of characters.
Yep.
So, I don't gripe about that, but yeah, I don't know. I'll be very curious to see how things wrap up.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
so
man. I forgot to turn this episode on
of what?
to broadcast it.
No, it
No,
says
I'm kidding.
live
I know. I'm kidding you.
120. Oh, okay. I'm like, no, because it says so right there.
I just wanted to mess with you for that moment.
Uh, no, I guess we'll just have to redo it.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk 45 minutes about Craig Ferguson again.
I bet you we could.
We could. That was a great show. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up. Moon Knight season finale is this week. We will be back next Sunday to talk about it. I don't think either one of that will both be able to get to see Doctor Strange by next
Probably
weekend.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Because
so
isn't it start on, well, technically Thursday, everything
yeah,
starts on Thursday, but
yeah. So it'll be Monday before I get there at the earliest. So, but we will talk about Doctor Strange down the line. Um, I'll probably have a little more to talk about Winning Time when that gets wrapped up. Paul will have more about Patrick Stewart's Star Trek or Picard.
Professor Xavier's Star Trek.
There you go. So have a great week, folks. We will see you soon. So say goodnight, Paul.
Good night, Paul.